Hello, everyone. Welcome back to No Cap Space. It is currently approaching midnight Central Time right now because while we weren't live because it was really late for everyone, and I wasn't trying to have everyone up super late. I understand it's a Monday, but I'm giving you the post game reaction anyways. I'm not ducking smoke or anything of that nature. I'm here. You'll see it when you see it, okay? But I'm here. It's almost midnight. UCLA has shut down in a lot of ways Oklahoma tonight, 73-59. There's a lot of layers to that though. And I'm not crashing out. I'm not making any big worry or any big long-term prediction for Oklahoma this season. I'm not crashing out based on this game. Are there things that need to be cleaned up? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that. But we got to talk about the winners first. And more importantly, I have a message to the entire country, to every coach around the nation, to every NIL donor, whatever, collective. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you let Gianna Kneepkens go to UCLA? How dare you? I've talked about it before. If you have Lauren Betts on your team and you could just pick someone off a roster and say, hey, I want you to come play with Lauren Betts. Gianna Kneepkens is right at the top of that list across the entire country. Just as the perfect fit next to Lauren Betts. And that's exactly what UCLA got. And that's not even getting into the other depth and talent on this roster, which we're going to talk about, but that's not even getting into that yet. That's not even getting into that. Because Oklahoma actually did a very good job on Lauren Betts tonight. They took her out of this game in a lot of ways. They showed a physicality on defense that, frankly, I didn't know existed. This was a revelation to me, that Oklahoma was able to crash down and help Reagan Beers or Beatrice Colleton with the physicality they had on Lauren Betts tonight. End up holding her 9 points, 10 rebounds, 4 of 11 from the field, 1 free throw. You'll take that anytime against Lauren Betts with how dominant and how good she is. You will absolutely take that. However, whenever you do that, whenever you make her the focal point of your defense, what does that mean? That means that everyone else is open. And oh my God, you don't want to do that against UCLA. And that makes them so incredibly difficult. Gianna Kneepkens, 20 points tonight, 8 of 14, 2 of 5 from 3. Again, just the absolute perfect fit next to Lauren Betts. Was getting it off the dribble in the mid-range, again from 3. If you are a WNBA scout, it's right there. It is such a phenomenal fit in the WNBA to me, because you are actively seeing how she plays with a dominant big, which so many teams like to deploy in the WNBA. She is phenomenal, and I cannot believe UCLA was able to get her on this roster, because it just, I can't believe it, because it makes perfect sense, right? But the fact they actually were able to add her to how stacked this roster already is so incredibly massive for this UCLA team, and it showed why tonight. It showed last game as well for UCLA. This is what Gianna Kneepkens does. This is what she does, and you have it in a perfect situation. It could not be better for both parties here to make this transfer, to make this move. But it wasn't just her. That's what makes UCLA so incredibly scary, so incredibly real as a threat for a national championship, is the depth. Dugalich off the bench, 16 points, 15 rebounds. Goodness gracious. What was the shooting split? 6 of 11, 3 of 5 from 3. Look, the amount of length that is also capable of doing things offensively. So you're disruptive defensively, you're capable offensively. You're winning games both ways at UCLA. And the length was so incredibly disruptive today. Dugalich had 3 steals. That was a massive, massive point of this game to me, was how disruptive UCLA was able to be on the defensive end, but you're not sacrificing anything at all on the offensive end, and you're really not sacrificing a ton when you go through the substitutions in comparison to other teams, in comparison to what Oklahoma's bringing off the bench. You aren't losing much from your starters. It's actually ridiculous, the amount of depth that UCLA has, and that is absolutely their biggest strength. I mentioned the rebounds there with Dugalich, but that was a game-wide story across this game. Look, the rebound margin goes 59-43 in UCLA's favor. A lot of it felt like, to me, frankly, Oklahoma was just getting beat to a lot of these rebounds. Some of them were long rebounds, some of them were awkward bounces. They were getting beat to a lot of these rebounds. And there was, I'll say this because I was worried going into this game on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma, because in that Belmont game, it felt like they were chasing a lot. It felt like the closeouts weren't very crisp. in this game, I thought they did a better job of that, but I think at times because of the crashing they did on Lauren Betts or whoever, like I think it hurt the rebounding some. And honestly, I don't know what you would have done differently, right? Because you have to stop Lauren Betts and you kind of have to take the risk of shooters missing, of closeouts doing what they need to do. It was a risk that didn't ultimately pay off in this game. But I actually thought Oklahoma was actually pretty good defensively, to be honest. And again, I thought the rotations were so much crisper in this game in comparison to that game against Belmont, that first game, and where it was looking a little frantic in that. But the big story, obviously the biggest name in this game for Oklahoma, from just, I guess, a star, quote unquote, perspective, Aaliyah Chavez, right? The star freshman here, obviously did not have the game that she was looking for. Ends up with 11 points, 4 of 16 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3. Look, this is an interesting one for me because I actually think you can make the argument that Aaliyah Chavez had better shot selection in this game than she did against Belmont, where there was a lot of threes and there was a lot going on. Had the early foul trouble as well, so getting into a rhythm was tough. And that is, to me, that's something I'm interested in watching over the course of the season, is just how she handles getting a rhythm. Like, what does that look like? Is it something where it can just snap on? Is it something you kind of have to flow into a game for Aaliyah in this freshman year? What does that look like? I don't have the answer to that, and I'm just interested in seeing what the trends kind of show for that. I'll say this though, again, no turnovers, right? As your freshman point guard going against UCLA, while there was frustrating misses, and from, again, shots that you feel comfortable with her taking, with her making, I still don't feel bad about this Aaliyah Chavez performance. And again, did she struggle? Yes, absolutely. Did UCLA have her struggling? Yes, it was partially UCLA, but also I like the shot selection. I'm not mad at really any of the shots that we saw. And I think that this is ultimately a game that when you look back from an Oklahoma perspective from Aaliyah Chavez, that you'll live with, and you just hope that those shots go in down the road. And I think that they will. Look, I think, I thought Peyton Verhulst also very good in this game. Reagan Beers also had some foul trouble. Her and Lauren Betts were just battling. Both held each other pretty well over the course of this game. 7 points, 14 rebounds for Reagan Beers in this one. When I look at this, right, when Aaliyah Chavez and Reagan Beers were both out of the game, that's when it just felt like UCLA was just pushing and going on those runs. And frankly, Oklahoma does not have the depth. I've touched on this before. Look, you have 3 freshmen that are playing legit minutes here for Oklahoma. You have 2 sophomores playing legit minutes here for Oklahoma. You have 3 seniors on this roster. You don't have the experience. You don't have the depth that UCLA does by any means. It's not even close. And I think it showed at times. I thought Zaya Van was fantastic in this game and really stepped up when Aaliyah Chavez did go out and was made a focal point of this offense in a lot of ways. And I was incredibly impressed by her. Again, a sophomore in that. This is a very, very young Oklahoma team where it's interesting to see how the expectations meet that, because you have a senior in Reagan Beers and Peyton Verhulst who are genuinely WNBA talents, right? And you have, with those 2 players, it's reasonable to have high expectations for where you can go into the postseason, right? But then you see games like this where you see that youth come in, and obviously this is just game 2. We're in overreaction zone and we're projecting far and wide, but you could sense that today. And so I'm interested in what comes next. Obviously, SEC play is going to be an absolute massacre for everybody. And you're going to see some games in that where you're going to find out, really, what did you take away from this game against UCLA? I am incredibly interested in finding that out, because it was apparent to me at times where that is what was happening. Again, there was a lot of time where the flow wasn't really there offensively for Oklahoma. 16 threes, not really Oklahoma's game to only shoot that many. You can kind of see it bounce back and forth at times, right? But that's not what you're looking for. A lot of missed layups, a lot of mid-range shots just taken. Again, this is a game that genuinely, you make a couple of those layups and we're talking a single-digit ball game and potentially a tighter finish here. So I am not sounding any alarms for Oklahoma. I'm not doing anything like that. But did they get shut down offensively for decent chunks of this game? Absolutely. Did UCLA show why there's maybe kind of levels to this right now in terms of contender status and being a really good team. I think that they did tonight. Can Oklahoma grow into that by the end of this season? Potentially. You're going to have tests in the SEC to prove it. But right now, UCLA shows why the depth that they have is so incredibly dangerous, because it just felt like there was no letting up off the gas at any point. And this is, again, a game where Lauren Betts did not play at her most dominant, did not play at her best. And a lot of that had to do with Oklahoma. But I mean, I think I, in an odd way, kind of leave this game feeling better about both teams. Again, UCLA, it kind of just proved what I already knew and expected from UCLA. Again, they should, anything less than a national championship is a disappointment for UCLA this season. Point blank, period. You have so much talent on this roster, so much depth, so much length, so much scoring. You name it, you got it. You're UCLA. You have to win a national championship this year. That is the expectation. For Oklahoma, again, it's such a wide range of ages, but your two seniors are probably going to the WNBA after this year. So you got to kind of do it now before you maybe go into a little bit of a rebuild for a year or two. I say rebuild. You can still be good, but not maybe that championship expectation and potential as your absolute ceiling there. So I'm interested in seeing, again, UCLA. I think we're just going to see continued dominance for a lot of this. For Oklahoma, I'm interested in seeing the growth. And I am incredibly excited to see how we reflect on this chapter in the career of Aaliyah Chavez with this game. The first big ranked matchup did not go her way, did not play the way that she wanted to. How do you respond? And I'm confident in that response. And I'm excited to see how we write that story. I am locked in. Look, I'm not crashing out. UCLA is very good. Very, very, very good. Proved it tonight. Oklahoma, room to grow. A lot of youth. We'll see what happens from there. That'll do it. That'll do it. I'm cutting this off past midnight. You're seeing it in the morning. Make sure you stay tapped in with us here at No Cap Space. We'll have Ball Up Top coming your way, our weekly podcast. You can find that here on the YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform, or NoCapSpaceWBB.com to find all of our pod and print content. Make sure you're just tapped in all across the board. Links are down below to socials, websites, everything that you want from No Cap Space. We got it for you, covering the entire college game. Until very, very soon, when I talk to you next, I'll see you then.